Wishing a very warm morning to one and all. Myself, Vegasani, Associate Dean ICFAITech the ICFAI University Jaipur. It's indeed a matter of immense delight for us as we present this special and exclusive session on tech industry trends, skill set for future, and path to build a desirable career after graduation. Friends, it's our pleasure and privilege to introduce our very special guest, Mr. Gaurav Gupta, the keynote speaker for this session. Please join me in extending a very warm and hearty welcome, Mr. Gaurav Gupta, Vice President, Corporate and Investment Banking, JPMorgan Chase and Company, Singapore. With a glorious career across some of the most prestigious organizations, including Infosys, UBS Investment Bank Singapore, Citi and RBS Singapore as Vice President, Head of Fixed Income Production Asia, Mr. Gaurav Gupta has contributed significantly in various capacities as an expert technology services leader with a rich experience in managing techno-functional teams across different verticals. Mr. Gaurav Gupta is an alumnus of ICFAITech, and perhaps no word would suffice to express the pride and honor I am overwhelmed with as I introduce Mr. Gaurav Gupta to all our esteemed guests and participant students. It is one of those precious moments any teacher would wish to experience in lifetime, and I am delighted beyond words as I acknowledge Mr. Gaurav Gupta's accomplishments and invite him to share his experience, knowledge, and vital insights to motivate, inspire, and guide the students of ICFAI University Jaipur. Your alma mater welcomes you home, Gaurav. We welcome you.
Thank you, Sani sir. Can you hear me?
Welcome you, Gaurav.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for such a warm welcome. And I would also like to thank you for inviting me to this forum. A very good morning to all the ICFAI students and everyone else who is currently tuned in. I must say it's exciting to be here interacting with people from my alma mater. My name is Gaurav Gupta. I'm a 2007 pass out in electronics and communications. I started with Infosys and Swiss Bank when I started my career in 2007. And since then, I've been with investment banking for all the 13 years of my career. So that's a bit about me. And the reason I was happy to come and interact with you guys today is because I understand how anxious we are as students and what a relief it can be if we get to talk to someone who is one of us and is working in the industry that we aim to be a part of. So even if I'm able to motivate one student today, I'll really be glad. Now, Sani sir wanted me to talk about how to have a successful career, but I request you to alter the topic a little bit because, to be honest, I feel success has a very different definition for everyone, right? In fact, the definition of success keeps changing for the same person at different point in time. Success to me today, for instance, is very different than what success to me was back in 2007. So I chose to talk about a slightly different but relevant topic. Just to let you know, I don't have any slides for you. I have some bullet points in front of me that I will take my lead from and elaborate. So Sani sir, are we good to start? Can you hear me?
Yes, Gaurav.
Are we good to start with the session?
Yeah, you are audible. Gaurav, just a minute. Our Honorable Vice President is also with us. So,
by all means, yes.
Hello. Gaurav, just a minute. Just a minute.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, Honorable Vice President of ICFAI University Jaipur, Dr. Rajesh Kothari. Sir, our today's guest is Mr. Gaurav Gupta. He's Vice President. Gaurav, just a minute. I think there is some.
That's fine. Take your time, sir.
में जो उनको बोलो
उनको भी सर इंस्ट्रक्शन दे रखे हैं सर उनको
उनको बोल दो हेमंत को कि वो मैंने कहा है वो चल नहीं रहा है
We can hear him perfectly fine. I think there's a problem with his video, right?
Sir, you are audible, sir. President, sir, you are audible, sir. Gaurav, I think there is some technical fault with his mobile connectivity. Now, we have our mentor and the senior advisor to the ICFAI University Jaipur, Dr. S.S. Jain sir, is with us. Sir, we would like to... Hello, Jain sir?
Hello. Yes, sir. Yes. Hello.
Mr. Jain,
Hello.
you're audible.
Hello. Can you hear my voice?
We
Hello.
can, very well. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah, you are audible, sir.
Dear Gaurav, we welcome you in the show, and we are proud of that you are the alumni of this institution and reaching up to that particular level. You will show the path to the new entrant of in the ICFAI University, and you will be the path bearer for them. So we welcome you in the show, and I hope that your blessings to the younger students will be fruitful for them.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm honored. Thank you.
Process, how to get the particular job and what to do in the field of the competitive field of the market.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kothari, hello, how are you doing? We can see you very well now.
Hello.
I think there is a problem with Mr. Kothari's video. And you're
I think,
mute,
Gaurav, there is some technical issue. You please go ahead.
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
Gaurav, please continue.
Yeah, sure. So before I continue, I would like to put a quick disclaimer that all the views I expressed today in this forum are completely personal and have no association to my current or previous employers. So let me set the tone of this call. This is how the structure of the session is going to be. As I said, I have no slides. I'm just going to use some bullet points and elaborate on them. So I'm going to take you guys through my personal journey for first few minutes. And the primary reason for that is for you to understand the success and failure points in my journey. Because when you look at someone who is successful to you and you only know about his or her start and end point, it doesn't really help you in any way. So it's important for you to understand that success and failure comes hand in hand. And the person that you think is successful has had his own share of failures, right? So after that, we'll talk about what's going on in the finance and technology industry at large and what are we really chasing. Then we will touch base about some of the hot jobs or roles that are available in banking and technology and are probably going to stay for a decade or more. We will then come to a very important topic that is about the enablers for your desired career path, right from creating a CV to appearing for a group discussion or an interview, and then jumping the corporate ladder once you have landed yourself in the first job. Right. So I'm sure we will have some time left for Q&A, but in case you have a pressing question and you can't hold your horses, feel free to stop me and I'll be happy to take your questions. Now, let me give you a quick walkthrough about my journey. It certainly brings the nostalgia back. I was a student with an average grade point, GPA, CGPA, and with a desire to get a job that can take me places and, of course, makes me a lot of money. Now, you can't blame my thought process for equating success to money because most of us come from a middle-class family with an educational loan to repay and all, right? So most of us share that kind of mindset. Of course, the definition of success kept changing for me as I grew wiser. But my strengths right from the college days were my interpersonal skills, leadership abilities, and I worked really hard every day developing them further. So I will tell you, I appeared for at least 6 companies on and off campus in the placement drive, but I couldn't crack the very first interview round, which is the aptitude round. I remember sitting for Mindtree, iFlex, Aztec, and a few other companies that I don't even remember now. And many of my friends were afraid of GD and personal interview, but that never bothered me as I considered that my strength. And then comes a chance to appear for Infosys, right? And I had already failed in 6 companies first round itself. So I was quite confident that I'm going to fail in this as well. And I was so tired of preparing for the aptitude test again and again that this time I just did not prepare. Everyone was solving Shakuntala Devi puzzles overnight because Infosys is known to be asking puzzles, right? So I did not prepare anything. I just slept well overnight. I woke up in the morning, gotten fresh, and just took the bus to that college. It was one of the off-campus placements. So we go to the college, and I was so careless, or maybe so chilled out, that I did not even take my tie with me because I was confident I'm anyways not going to clear the first round, right? So I go there, I sit in the aptitude test, and an hour later, when the results are out, I get selected. And then comes the time for the interview, and I did not even take my tie. So I run to my friends, I borrow a tie and go to this room for interview. And there's this gentleman in mid-50s who talks to me about, for around 20 to 25 minutes, understanding who I am, where do I come from, what have I done, what are my strengths, blah, blah, blah. And then comes the time that he gives me a puzzle. And that was probably the toughest puzzle I have ever come across, right? So I tried a lot, but I couldn't answer that puzzle. Now, this guy tells me that, Gaurav, you know what? I really like you and I want to hire you. But as per the Infosys procedures and protocols, you got to answer the puzzle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you another chance. Here is another puzzle and give it a shot. And this time, once again, it was a make or break situation for me, right? So somehow it clicked and I was able to give them the answer of that puzzle. Now, of course, in my heart somewhere, I knew that I will get selected because the interviewer likes me so much already. I have answered the puzzle. So I waited for the results to come out. And finally, I was told that I'm selected. So this is at the end of 3rd year. I think I had an offer in hand. Then after 4th year, of course, I joined Infosys. And they have this rigorous 3 months training program at Mysore, where they teach you everything about software engineering. And in there, they have these weekly tests and then a big comprehensive exam. I'll tell you, I failed that exam because of few marks. I, of course, knew the mistakes I made. I did not commit some of the SQL, so data did not get entered into the tables, so on and so forth. But to cut the long story short, I failed the exam. And I think out of a few hundreds of students in my batch, only 70 to 80 people failed that exam, the big comprehensive exam. And in Infosys, if you fail the exam, you get one more chance to, to give that exam again. They call it recompre, right? And here comes the interesting part of the story. Now, because I failed, I was staying in Mysore for another month. None of my friends and family members know that I have failed an exam. And all my colleagues or friends within my batch were sent to different centers of Infosys in Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and they were deployed into projects. And when I used to talk to them, they used to boast about, they being working for a US client, UK client, blah, blah, blah. And it was kind of annoying. But somehow deep inside, I had this belief that things are going to work out for me, right? And I finally cleared the exam. I got my posting. I was posted to Hyderabad. And then there are around 40 to 50 people on bench. Bench in IT means that you're just waiting for a project. You're not deployed into any project. So you're basically idle, right? So I was waiting on bench while all others were deployed in very, very big projects. And then comes a fantastic and urgent opportunity from Swiss Bank in Switzerland. And they want someone with good communication and interpersonal skills. Now, we only have got 40, 50 people on bench. And when we were interviewed, they liked me. My Swiss visa gets initiated. I get paid thousands of Swiss franc at the beginning of my career. And off I go to Switzerland while all my other friends were still working in India at a much lesser salary than I was offered, right? In 1 year's time, when I was in Switzerland, I again lost that project. We lost that project to a competitor. And then I was asked to move back to India, which is my base location. But I had decided that, I want to stay out for some more time. But within that 1 year, I had developed a lot of relationship with my client within Infosys senior management. And then I leveraged it to get a transfer from UBS Switzerland to UBS Singapore. And once I got transferred to Singapore, I again built my network here and then kept moving roles as and when opportunities were presented to me. And here I am after 13 years in my career working for JPMorgan, which is the biggest bank of America. So the message I'm trying to relay here by telling my story is that if you're someone with good grades, keep it up. But if you're an average student, don't overstress yourself because of that. No one gives a damn to your GPA after you get into your first job. But at the same time, you also have to make sure that you always have the minimum qualifying CGPA at the least, so that you can at least sit for the interview of the company. Otherwise, no matter how good you are, you're not gonna have the prerequisites to sit into a company's placement exam, right? Another thing is that be aware of your strengths and weaknesses. Prepare for the best, but don't lose hope if things don't work out the way you want them to. And as someone has rightly said, that everything gets okay at the end, and if it's not okay, it's not the end, right? And you also should remember that sometimes opportunities come hidden behind failures, and it is absolutely okay to fail as far as you learn from those failures. I'm pretty sure you have heard about Thomas Edison's bulb story and invention, right? So Thomas Edison failed around 1,000 times before he could develop an electric bulb. And when he was asked to comment about his attempt of failures, right? The answer he gave was that I'm the only person who knows 1,000 methods through which a bulb cannot be made. So you see, your perspective of looking at things, or your reaction or your attitude towards the failure, will actually be the difference maker in how your life shapes up. So last but not the least, someone in my network had beautifully put it, and I can't stop myself. I'll have to repeat it. It says, the best things you have in your life may be the result of things that you don't have in your life. For instance, had I not studied in ICFAI, I would not have met my wife, who is also from ICFAI. Had I not failed the first 6 companies, I would not have gotten into Infosys. Had I not failed the Infosys exam, I would not have gone to Switzerland. And maybe I wouldn't be here talking to you today. So the point I'm trying to make is that life sometimes is really paving a way for you. And all it needs from you is some patience to wait for your eureka moment. So that's pretty much about my journey, which I cherish every day, being thankful to God, my parents, my mentors, my teachers. And I hope you can take away some of the lessons from my journey. So after that, let's discuss about what's happening in the finance and tech industry at large at the moment. And as I said, what are we really chasing? Now, everything that the companies are doing today can be really put under 5 key pillars. So number 1 is innovation. Number 2 is digitalization. Number 3 is transformation. Number 4 is disruption. And number 5 is security, or cybersecurity to be precise, right? You talk about cloud deployments, you talk about data science, big data, AI, ML, RPA, everything can fit into these 5 pillars. Now, the reason I'm talking about these jargons is because it's important for you to know about them. Because when you go for an interview and use some of these words, you are seen as someone who is aware and informed about the latest trends in the industry. So just for the benefit of everyone, I'll quickly take you through these key pillars so you have a basic understanding of what these jargons are all about, right? So starting from innovation, what exactly is innovation? Innovation is a creative thought or idea that can make things more simple, efficient, or effective, right? Now, to put it into context, you have a charger that can charge your phone, right? And then you have a wireless charger that can charge your phone wirelessly even while you're roaming, right? So you identify a problem, that a wire is a mess. You can't charge while traveling, and then you solve that problem by designing a wireless charger, right? So don't confuse between invention and innovation, right? In this case, for example, making a charger was an invention, but making a wireless charger is mainly innovation because somebody realized what the problem is and found a creative way for that problem. So that is technically innovation, which every company is chasing today, be it tech or finance. Moving on to digitalization. Now, in simple words, digitalization is an aim towards bringing all your products and processes on digital platforms. So I'm from capital markets, for example, and in capital markets, from a trade booking, when a trader books a trade in a bank, and up until the settlement of that trade, when everything happens at a press of a button without any manual intervention, that is called digitalization. For a retail banking, for example, when you do all your transactions online without a need to visit the branch, etc., this is an example of digitalization. Then comes the third keyword, which is transformation. So when you review your stand on technology, your existing products, processes, people, their skill set, and then you assess and evaluate on what changes you need to make in order to keep pace with the world, you talk about transformation projects. And this is something that almost all organizations are chasing today, and transformation is a key area that everyone is working on. Then we have got disruption. What exactly is disruption? And this is a word which is not just used, but abused in the industry. So you can imagine how much it is used as such. Disruption is nothing, it's just a thought or idea or maybe technology that kind of challenges the status quo, right? Anything that has a potential to change the way we work or do things, that is disruption. So I'll give you most common example of disruption. That would be the e-commerce platforms, for example, right? Most of us even buy our groceries online today. We don't go to a shopping mall to buy groceries anymore, most of us, right? So that is a disruption to the otherwise typical marketplace. Another common example would be, which I'm sure all of us are aware of, is Netflix, right? Excuse me. So not only did it change the way entertainment is consumed, but Netflix has changed the way the entertainment is produced, right? It has changed the way movies are released. So it has kind of caused a disruption in the film industry, I would say. So that's a common example of disruption. Then we'll move to security. Now, simply put, the more digital you become, the more vulnerable you are to the online threats of security breaches, right? So more and more investment is being done in the industry to ensure that firms and customer data can be kept secure. Because in today's world, data is everything. And when manipulated or misused, it can have severe implications. So firms are spending left, right, and center tons of money on the security procedures and protocols. Now, from where we know, technology has always been an enabler for the financial institutions, right? But you will see that trend is changing today. And in the new trend, the financial companies are investing massively into technology to reduce their dependencies on tech companies, which means the banks as such are trying to become a technology company with a banking license, right? The firm that I work for, JPMorgan, right? And it's a publicly available information. We invest $11 billion annually into technology. And believe you me, $11 billion is more than the turnover of many big IT companies that you know of. So in a recent news, I read about Google that Google is partnering up with a US bank, and they are foraying into financial services. They'll be opening checking accounts for the users. One of the Google's company, so ABC, Alphabet Inc., which is the Google's parent company, has a child company called Capital G, which is into the business of lending and financing, which was typically done by banks in the past, right? So the trend you can see is that the competition today is all about giving the best customer experience and retaining your customer base. So imagine if everything you need is provided within the Google ecosystem, why would you want to leave Google, right? Similarly, if banks want to ensure that they are providing best technological solutions for their client and customers without being too dependent on the technology companies. So you can see technology and financial companies, they are kind of working in a fintech kind of a model now, and every new company that is coming up is calling itself fintech, right? So most of the smart organizations have now realized that nothing is too big to fail today. If they don't change with the changing times, they will become history in no time. So that realization is pretty obvious in today's world. And now people say COVID has brought a lot of changes in the industry, and it will result in many more changes to come. But in my opinion, COVID is just a catalyst to the industry changes that were already underway, right? Work from home, for example, right? It has already been thought of. Automations already being thought of. Removing critical dependencies from countries in the emerging market already being thought of. Just that it's now being expedited because an impact has already been felt, right? So now let's talk about what kind of roles you have within banking and technology. And excuse me for not covering other sectors because my forte is banking and technology. So I wish someone told me when I was in the college. I was just discussing with Saini sir that I wish we had such channels and opportunities available back in time, so we could use them, and people could advise us, or we could get guidance or mentorship from some of the people from the industry. Because back then I only related banking to the typical retail banking, where you go to a bank and you cash your money out, and then you go back. But that's one part, that is retail banking. We've got corporate and investment banking, we've got wealth management, asset management, consumer and community banking, treasury and trade services. So there are many arms of banking which you can explore in terms of jobs. And you can choose to be in a technical role, you can choose to be in a functional role, or you could choose to be in a techno-functional role, right? For instance, you can be a developer, a tester, a business relationship manager, an operational risk manager, a risk analyst, a project manager. I mean, I wish I knew when I was in college that such exist, because for me, technology companies were all about coding, right? You write a code as a developer and that is it. Nobody told me that there are so many other avenues to explore within banking or technology space for that matter. You can get into technology services sector, where you could do incident management, problem management, change management, release management, and plethora of other jobs. And to be honest, these jobs are not going to be redundant for a long period of time. Of course, the scope of these jobs will change with the advancements in technology, but all of us have to start with some role, and that may not be the role of your choice. Then you need to deliver in that role, leave your mark, and then wait for the right opportunity to move to a role of your choice. I mean, that is how you kind of shape up your career. You're not going to get a job which is of your choice from day one. You may or may not, right? Most of us do not. So that's about the industry at large. But if you want to prepare for some niche technology roles, you would see some of the new roles popping up these days are digital forensic analyst. You will have a penetration tester role, cyber threat analyst, data scientist, RPA developer, RPA architect, cloud specialist, for example. So these are all the niche fields which have recently been very popular. And to be honest, they are going to be there for a very, very long time, at least a decade, if not less or more. So now that we've discussed about the possible roles in the industry, I would say let's move to discuss about the most important part of this discussion, which is a desirable career path. And that is going to be an interesting one. So let's start from the process of getting into your first job, right? Remember that hiring these days is not a selection process anymore. It is an elimination process. So many people who appear for the interview are good, but can we select all of them? We cannot, right? So for instance, when I put a role in the market, I get at least 60 to 70 CVs for one role. I don't think I can afford to call 70 people and interview them for an hour or two. That's 140 man hours we're talking about, right? So what do I do as a hiring manager? I start to find out a reason why this person is not fit for a job, right? And which is why it is very important of what you write in your CV, right? So it all starts with a CV or a resume. Now, remember, your CV is your personal brand, and you are the salesman of brand you, right? And this applies to not just the freshers, but even the experienced people like me or others, right? CV is very important. Before you are called out for an interview, no one knows how good you are, right? Your only chance to let them know about you is through your CV. So there are a few points you should keep in mind when you create a CV. First of all, make sure it's not a copy paste, which we all do back in the college, right? We just take a friend's CV, rename it, change a few things, and then call it our own CV. It's something we should stop doing if we want to land up in a good job. Then I would suggest that do not submit the same copy to every organization or every role that you apply for, because sometimes you need to tweak the CV as per the role requirement to be able to kind of showcase your strengths that are relevant to the jobs, right? And make sure that the CV is not more than 2 pages by any chance, because you guys are freshers. 2-page or even 1 page should be enough to sum up what you have done, right? There are no grammatical errors. You should be sure about it. And also ensure that you write an executive summary that should describe your aspirations in not more than 3 to 4 lines. Right? So that's about the CV, which you need to be careful about. Now, moving on to the next step, which is my favorite, that is group discussion. So I'm going to give you some tips on the group discussions and how to ace the GD, right? When a GD starts, you should always be the first one to start the discussion as soon as the topic is given. Now, that shows to the moderator that you are a leader. And after you've started, try to patiently listen to what others are saying, and then again speak up to show your agreement or disagreement on the topic. One thing that you need to remember is that GD, they are not judging you about your subject matter expertise, right? They're judging you for everything else except the subject matter expertise. So you don't need to be too worried about what you are talking about and if it is very, very relevant to the topic or not. Even if it is close to the topic, they are going to judge you on other abilities as well. Second thing is be mindful of the time, right? The moderator usually gives you a time that's going to be 15 minutes or a 20 minutes discussion. Keep a tab on your watch. And when you see that the time is approaching, try to speak up again and say something like, in the interest of time, I would like to put a quick concluding remark, and that is blah, blah, blah. And when you do that, you are seen as someone who has leadership skills, someone who can drive a conversation, someone who believes in inclusion and as a patient listener, right? And I can tell you for sure that if you do this, you cannot go unnoticed. This formula never fails. Of course, this will need you to practice a lot of impromptu speaking. And that's where the hard work and the preparation part kicks in, right? But if you are afraid of GD, then I would suggest you to take these steps and see if it makes any difference to the next GD you're going to appear for. And if you're looking for friends to have discussions with you, then sit in front of a mirror and get started. I would say mirror is your best friend, right? Record yourself on your phone and then hear it back. That will give you some good feedback about yourself, and you can probably self-improve, right? So that's about the GD. Moving on to the third, and again, a very important aspect of selection process, that is the personal interview. So tip number one for the interview would be rehearse. Give dummy interviews, record yourself once again, and hear yourself. When you hear yourself, you kind of get to know what mistakes you have made, and then you can correct it. That helps you get better, of course. When you're going for an interview, I suggest you go through the organization's mission and vision statement. It's very important before you go for an interview. Most importantly, and this is a very important thing, so you must hear very carefully, you should try to drive the interview instead of letting the interviewer drive it. Now, you may ask, how is it possible? So I'm going to give you a hint on how to try that, right? First of all, be calculative in what you speak about. Don't utter words that you do not have a clue about, right? For example, if the only thing you know about cloud is the word cloud itself, it's better to just remove it from your CV. Because interviewers most of the time tend to catch words from your own statements. Give the answer in a way that focuses on your strength, right? Try to throw a word or two on which you are a subject matter expert, and chances are that the interviewer will try to dig deep on that, and you will get a chance to talk about your strengths instead of things that you're not aware of, right? And also, if there's a question that you don't know an answer to, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say that I don't know this, or I'm not able to recollect it, because no one knows everything, right? And last but not the least, I highly recommend asking questions to the interviewers. Because when I ask a candidate while interviewing him that, do you have any questions for me? And if that candidate says, I have none, it kind of turns me off, because questions do show your interest in the role that you have applied for. And at the same time, it shows your preparation. So please make sure you ask some questions to the interviewer, of course, the relevant ones, but just don't say, I don't have any questions for you. It kind of leaves a bad remark on the interviewer. Now, assume that you have landed up in a job, right? Now your focus needs to be on a few things, because that's when the real game begins, right? The first job that you have may not be the job you want your career to be in. So how you build your career through the first job that you get. There are a few tips I would like to give you on that, and because they have personally worked for me, and this is how I grew in my career. So I just wanted to share them with you. First of all, you need to deliver the quality in whatever task is given to you, right? So whatever project you are assigned to, whatever task you are assigned to, just do your best. No task is big or small. Try to pick and choose the challenging task, because I personally feel when you take the challenging items, you get more visibility when you deliver things, right? Let me give you an example. Let's say you're given 2 grounds to clean up, right? One ground is very dirty. Let's say it has got 2,000 tree leaves, it has got dog shit, it has got wet mud. People just can't walk on that ground. And there's another ground in which you only have like 200 tree leaves, right? If you choose to pick up cleaning up the ground, which is the messy one, versus choosing the ground that only has 200 leaves on it, chances are that even if you deliver 50% on the dirty ground, your efforts will be highly visible, because earlier people were not able to walk there. Now people are able to walk there. People don't see dog shit. People don't see wet mud. The level, the land is leveled, and you have only delivered 50%. But the visibility you get from the challenging stuff is way higher than the visibility you get from the non-challenging stuff. And this is particularly when you're starting your career. Don't be afraid of challenges. Try to go towards things that are more complex, because when you deliver on them, the appreciation you will receive, which will be much higher compared to something that was easy, right? Third, and the most important thing would be to build relationship and collaborate. And guys, this is the heart of anything that you do. If you are not able to collaborate, or things that we call interpersonal skills, right? If you're not able to network with people around you, you're going to have a tough time. No matter how technical you are, no matter how a big coder you are, if you can't talk, if you can't articulate well, if you don't talk to people, if you don't make relationship within your circle, within your organization, you can, of course, stay in the job, but growth for you is going to be very tough. So this is one tip, that networking is very important. You must build your network over time, and that is when you leverage your network when the need arises. For example, you are into a job that is not of your choice, a role that you don't want to do, but you do it for a year or two and you do very well, right? And then comes an opportunity within your organization, or where you think you are suitable for that role, right? But you don't have an experience in that role. However, if you have networking amongst your colleagues or within the organization, and they know how good you are in your existing role, I'm sure they're going to give you a chance to get into that role and prove yourself. Because when you got into your first role, you were you were not aware of anything in that role, but you still delivered well, right? So the hard work that you have put in your first role is going to take you places. And that is how people grow. Trust me, every organization these days is promoting internal mobility. Instead of hiring people from outside, they're giving chance to the people inside. And that is where you can leverage your relationship. And of course, the relationships are built on your delivery, right? So that's that. The other thing is, give yourself a mentor. It is very important that you have a mentor. He could be in the industry, out of the industry, someone that you're able to relate with, right? Have regular discussions with your mentor. That could be a male or a female, someone who is in your field or someone who is not in your field, but who inspires you, right? That gives you a chance to kind of know how they did it and also learn from the mistakes. So that's very important. Get yourself a mentor. Now, having said that, I think I'm done with the topics I wanted to cover, and the forum is now open for questions.
Now, Gaurav, invite some very enthusiastic students who are with us. First, I'll invite Vignesh. Yeah, Vignesh.
Vignesh, I think you're on mute.
Vignesh, please unmute yourself.
Well, sir, good morning,
Vignesh,
sir.
you are mute. Yeah, now it's okay.
Sir, it's unmute, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, it's a great pleasure to be here with you in this
Likewise.
interactive session. And it's a great honor to be the one asking you the questions today. So I would like to ask you one question. Like in our GD, there are many a times like we won't be having the deep understanding about the topic, or we don't know really anything about the topic. So how should we go about it, even if we have good communication skills? Should we directly go and accept it as it is like we don't know anything about the topic, or we should go around the topic and do something and make something out of it?
Well, as I said in the beginning, when GDs, when the topic is given in the GD, the idea is not to know how good you are at the subject, right? If they have to test it, they can test it in the personal interview, giving you a topic, right? When they put you in a group of 20 people or 10 people giving you a topic, the main idea there is seeing what your skill set is when you are put into a discussion with 20 odd people, right? How well can you respond to the topics that you are not aware of? How well can you respond when you're put into situations that are out of your comfort zone? So to your point, if you are totally blank about the topic, be ready with some generic statements to make which will fit in any topic whatsoever, right? And you can kind of pre-prepare it before going for a GD, and it's not tough, right? If you need help on that, connect with me offline. I'm going to help you with that. But as I'll say again, subject does not matter. That doesn't mean if they're talking to you about Japan, you start talking about, the ocean, right, or the sea. But definitely, if they're talking to you about Japan, and if you can somehow connect the sea to Japan, and then kind of go around the topic in a way that you can reflect your other strengths that they also want to see, I think it's a job well done, right? And you also must understand that all the 15, 20 odd people who are sitting in the GD, they are feeling equally uncomfortable as you are, right? It's all about knowing that everyone is equally uncomfortable. Everyone may or may not know about the topic. Everyone is speaking, in an impromptu manner. Just shift your focus from the subject and focus on the points that I told you about. Imagine, even without knowing about the subject, if you start to speak up first, it does show something about you, right? Subject is something which you can learn over time. None of us are perfect. None of us know about everything. So the people who give you a topic on GD are well aware of that. You may not be aware of every subject. This is not an IAS or PCS interview, right? Where they want you to be aware of the history and geography and everything. This is a technical interview, for God's sake. And all they are looking for is what your skills are when you are put into a set of people. How well can you listen to others? How patient you are? How accommodating you are? As well as how good you are in your other interpersonal skills. Hope that answers your question.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you, sir.
No worries, mate.
Good morning, sir. I'm Yogesh from BTech third year, Computer Science. Sir, we are very glad to interact with you today. Sir, I have a question that what is the application of data science into investment banking, and what are the some of job opportunities in banking sector for the engineers?
Okay, that's a good question, and the answer to this is going to be a few-fold. Data science just doesn't have application in banking or investment banking per se. It has application in every part of the banking. I'll give you an example of data science, let's say in the retail banking or consumer banking, for example, right? The banks are collecting the data from you, right? They are looking at the trend of your expenditure. Your credit card, for example, when you swipe your credit card left, right, and center in a month, banks are watching your activity, right? They have the data for all the transactions you make. Now, on the basis of that data, you will see that they're trying to recommend you that you have already spent $20,000 in the month. Why don't you go for this card? If you spend $15,000 on this card every month, you're going to get these many miles, these many rewards. You will get a 3-day 2-night stay or staycation or something like that. So they are trying to use your data and then use it against you, right? In fact, for them to get more revenues from you. This is just one example in the retail banking. If you talk about investment banking, once again, data science there is all about understanding the behavior of our clients, right? If my client is trading, if I'm putting trades on behalf of my client and they're giving me $1 million business, through the data I collect from the client, I kind of analyze what is the demand or what is client going to trade next year? What would be he looking up to? If he's trading too much of a one certain commodity, let's say, or instrument, he's trading too much into it, you will try to analyze and make something out of that. So that data is turned into a set of information, which is then used to the advantage of the bank in generating more revenue, right? So these are the applications of data science within the investment banking. And similarly, data, as I said, is the most valuable commodity today, and it can be used in many shapes and forms. Specifically talking about jobs for engineers in banking, as I said in the beginning, engineer is a very subjective word again, right? If you're a computer science engineer and you aim to be a coder, you have got jobs for a developer. You've got jobs for a tester, right? You can do quality testing. So in banks, we call there's a differentiation between who codes and who supports. So we call change the bank and run the bank, CTB and RTB, right? So you have scope within the verticals of the bank. So if you think you're a very technical person, you could be a coder. If you think you like the functional aspect of the problem, like I personally like the business and functional aspect of the problem rather than the technical or code aspect of it. So I can choose to be a business analyst, where my job is to go talk to the traders and collect the requirements, and then translate those requirements into technical specifications and give it to a developer to develop the system that trader is looking for, right? So as I said, I wish somebody told me when I was in a college that what kind of roles we have in the bank, and I would probably would have made use of it, but I only realized it over time on my own, and then I learned things on my own, which you guys now have the luxury to kind of know through people like me or others that come and talk to you, right? So you can be more prepared. But as I said, if your motive is to get into let's say functional role, right, you may not directly get it as your first job. You first have to get the job as a programmer or as a technology analyst, which is the beginning of your career. Then you establish yourself in that job. And while you're on that job, as a part of continuous learning, you keep improving your skill set towards the job that you want to move to, right? If you want to become a business analyst for equities trading, for example, right? Me coming from a electronics and computer or any other background will have no clue about how trading is done in equities, fixed income, currencies, or commodities, right? Now you can ask, you're not an MBA, so how are you working in this field? Absolutely right, I'm not an MBA and this was not taught to me. But because this was a matter of my interest, when I got into my first job, I started exploring ways on learning it. I started finding resources through whom I can learn. Those resources could be people around you. I used to sit on trading floor with traders. I would go to them and tell them, you know what, I see that you have put this trade in place. I'm trying to understand the pricing of it. Can you help me understand that? And they will always be more than happy to explain you. It's for them, it's 5 minutes, right? Like for me, coming to you and giving you all this gyan in a matter of 1 hour, I would love to do so if you can get some help out of it. Similarly, people are helpful around the world, and once again, that's where your relationship kicks in, right? Are you really someone who is helping others? So within my space, I have developed a relationship where I help traders in their needs for technology. In return of that, I can leverage that relationship to learn some of the business, right? So if you are aiming to get into some of the functional role, but today you do not have an expertise on that, I would say take the role that comes up your way and then find your way up, learn the things on the job, and then get where you want to be. And that's how the careers are made, right? I did not choose to be in the line I am today. I was just an engineer, and to be honest, I don't remember anything that I read in electronics and communications today. Sani sir, don't mind. I do remember some of the topics you taught me, but I don't remember anything else otherwise, right? So the point I'm trying to make here is that we all come from different background, and then we make our way up, and we identify where we want to reach. We find the resources, we work hard towards it, and then we reach where we want to reach. So that is my advice on the question asked.
So now, Shruti, it's your turn.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Shruti,
Good
how are you?
morning, sir. I am Shruti. Sir, I am fine. Sir, I was asking that as you have mentioned, the disruption is a thing which makes the change in the way we work, right? So I have a question. So the disruption which is coming in our way, how can we identify that it will change our work in a positive way or a negative one?
You see, positive and negative, once again, is a subjective word, right? Positive for you could be negative for someone else. Negative for you could be positive for someone else, right? So now your question is more about the cause and effect relationship. For example, because of COVID-19, all of us are working from home, right? Now, I know people who are worried, who are working from home in Singapore, and they are thinking now, COVID-19 is a disruption, right? It's an unfortunate disruption. When none of the organizations had tested their 100% population working from home, and now they are forced to let everyone work from home, right? So what could be the potential negatives of this? Some companies may be evaluating their options that if you can work from home, why should I keep you in Singapore? Maybe I'll put you in some low-cost location, right? Philippines, Bangladesh, or India these days, by the way, is no more a low-cost location as such. But yeah, that could be a potential negative of working from home, right? But yes, you can have that fear in your mind that it will happen, but once again, you have to look at the positive side of it as well, that when you are working from home, the company is still saving a lot of money just by you working from home, right? Your business travel is cut, your meetings are all virtual, companies are saving millions. If I have to go on one business trip, I'll be funded a business class ticket to fly to the location, I'll be put in a 5-star hotel, my fooding and lodging will all be covered by the company, right? And up until now, we used to think that business travel is so essential, right? But now, due to this forced nature of COVID-19, none of us are able to fly due to business reasons. So companies are saving millions of dollars. So while there are some negatives of us working from home or working remotely, there are some advantages of it as well. So I would say that you can't really predict. Short answer is you can't predict always. Even the bigger players can't predict. If everybody could predict what is coming, life would be very different for all of us, right? Sometimes you get to know things as they come, but you should always have a backup plan ready. What is your plan B if plan A goes wrong, right? This is called risk analysis, right? So you have to do your risk analysis at every point in your life, right? If you're going for a job and you have a certain skill set, you have to ensure that what happens if I get redundant today? Many of our jobs are going to be redundant, right? The low skill set jobs won't be there in the market 5 or 10 years down the line. And I'm not saying the people who are doing that job are low skilled people. They're just doing that job because that skill set was given to them at that point in time. But as far as you can adapt to the changing world and you're ready and with the new skill set for the new world, even if your job gets redundant, you always have a plan B to switch to another career, right? So the positive and negatives are to be analyzed by one. You can't always have the right analysis. There will be mistakes, and you have to accept those mistakes as they come. But I would suggest always analyze the situation between plan A and plan B. If plan A fails, what exactly is your plan B? And that is the risk analysis you got to do in every step of your life. I hope it was not too complex of an answer. I can't hear you anymore. Shruti, I think we lost you. Is anyone else from the student panel able to hear me? Sani sir? Okay, I think.
Hello.
I guess.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are pretty much audible.
Yes, I am Dr. Archana Rathod from ICFAI Business School. So
Hi, Dr.
thank you. Yeah, yes, thank you very much for the insightful talk. For the basically, you're coming from an engineering background, and you have given so much information for the banking and finance sector, and our management students are very delighted with this talk. One thing I just wanted to ask you is because these are difficult times, and difficult time always bring opportunity for students.
True.
So what is the biggest challenge for the management students, and which is the biggest opportunity for the management students? Our students are listening to you, sir.
I think from a job market point of view, I know we have a fear that we will lose a lot of jobs, right, because of COVID-19, and that's simply a demand and supply rule. If the companies are not able to make money, they're not gonna create new roles. So of course there are disadvantages to it, but at the same time, if you look at the previous crisis we had in 2008, which was not as unfortunate as this one, but it was a financial crisis, right? Hundreds of companies that are at billion-dollar valuation today were born during that crisis, right? So every crisis, I think, is an opportunity for new creations, for new opportunities, right? And these opportunities are going to create jobs again in the market. So I don't think there will be an overall loss of jobs as such. Uh, it is an opportunity. How to put this in a way that people understand. Um, you can say that there are pros and cons of this COVID-19, of course, but I don't see it as a loss of opportunity at all. I see that if there are some jobs that will go out of the market, as I said, these jobs are not going out of the market because of COVID-19 per se. They were already underway of getting redundant. It's just that COVID-19 has expedited this whole process, right? Companies have not decided to automate stuff today, right? And if you're talking about companies that cannot sustain this COVID-19, we're only talking about a small set of companies. We're not talking about large institutions. Large institutions like financial sector, banks, they're sitting on a pile of cash, right, to kind of face such kind of circumstances, right? They have budgets to deal with this. So I don't see any job cuts in my organization. I don't see any job cuts in many other organizations because of COVID-19. Yes, they do have job cuts because of other reasons, other long-term strategies that they have to reduce the workforce or to automate stuff that they're doing and then kill those jobs. But at the same time, if you see, new jobs are being created as well in the same industry, right? Now, you as a person, as I said before, have to decide if you are going to get redundant with the job or you will continue to upgrade your skill set and get a transition into the other job, right? Every company, when they come to you, they don't say, I'm a hiring manager, right? If I have to fire someone because his expertise or his skill set is redundant, I'm not gonna just go and fire that person. I'm gonna have a meeting with that person. I will tell him what are the future prospects for that person within the organization, what roles are coming up, and how could he up his game or advance his skill set to be able to get into that job, right? So a choice is given most of the times where people can upgrade their skill set and kind of get to a new opportunity. So if one opportunity is killed, another is created, right? We talk about bots. We are creating so many bots, artificial intelligence, machine learning, right? Trading is getting automated. We don't need as many traders to trade, which we used to need, a few years back. Now the strategy systems, the automated systems can trade for us. They can hedge on our behalf in the market. But it has killed some of the jobs, of course, but at the same time, it has created many other jobs because at the those codes that are written in those artificial intelligence systems are written by humans. You need someone to keep amending those codes, someone to service those codes, someone to maintain those codes, right? So it does create some other jobs, but with a new skill set. So as I said, jobs are going to get redundant. You are going to redundant as far as you don't upgrade your skill set. If you keep yourself abreast of the market and kind of keep up the pace with what is changing, everyday learning, continuous learning is the way to go. No age is too much to say that I can stop learning now, right? 13 years into my career, I still learn new things every day, because even as a lead in technology, I need to understand what my teams are doing. Even though I don't do a technical hands-on job, if I don't understand what my team is doing, if someone is writing a Python code, and if I don't understand how Python works, for example, or how efficient or non-efficient the code is going to be, then as a manager, I'm technically of no use. So I have to learn a bit of a Python myself to understand what the person who is writing a Python code or what the challenges that person is facing. So to cut the story short, you keep your skill set up to date, and I don't think anything can impact you in terms of job redundancies at all.
So I think, Gaurav, we are already running sort of time. So I think the last question from the Dhruv.
What is that, Dhruv?
Dhruv, it's your turn.
Good afternoon, sir. It's been great to have you with us in this webinar. Sir, my question is how in future skill requirements are going to change, and what could be the new skill requirements according to you in future?
I think I answered that question in a few bits earlier, but I'll just reiterate. So the skill set of future, when we say it's not changing in the next 6 months or 1 year or 2 years, right? There's not going to be a drastic change in the way the market demands the skill set. It is going to be a slow transition into the skill sets that are the skill set for future, right? As I said, AI, ML, RPA, data science, role of data scientist, cybersecurity, right? Threat intelligence, penetration tester. These are the kind of roles which will be popular in the market, and they will stay there for a decade or so before we get a new revolution or new jargons come in the industry, right? So you don't think that a role of a developer is going to be dead overnight, right? A developer will be a developer. He will stay as a developer for time to come. But it's just that the underlying technologies that he was working on will need to change. So at some point in time, back in 2007, for example, right, .NET and Java, these used to be the technologies, right? And if you know .NET, you can find a job anywhere, right? A .NET expert was in so much of a demand. But nowadays, things are slowing down. There's so many people who know .NET, right? There's so many people, for example, who are MBAs, right? So MBA is no more a niche skill as such. Now it matters in what specialization you are with an MBA. What is your work experience with an MBA, so on and so forth, right? So nothing is going to change overnight. It will be a transition. The roles will, the skill set that you need will, it will just change the way that new jobs are going to come up. As I said, for example, into the bot and stuff, right? You will need to learn more automated languages like Python. It is the need of the hour these days, right? Everybody is looking to recruit people who know Python. It wasn't as popular as it is today a few years back, right? So a skill set is more or less going to be the same. You just need to keep yourself aware of the new technologies and try to, learn them as much as you can. And that you can do even while you are in a job, while doing a totally different thing, right? You may not be working on a job that requires Python, but you will get enough time to learn Python, leveraging the resources that a firm provides you. And that is where these trainings and certifications come into play, right? The certification may not land you in a job, but the training and certification may kind of give you a flavor of how other things look like, or how the role that you aspire to get into looks like. So those are the things and resources you can use to acquire the skill set of future per se.
Thanks, Gaurav. Gaurav, can we take one more question? There's a request from one more student.
Yes, sir. Pleasure.
Yeah, Kanika, it's your turn. Please, finish quickly.
Hey, Kanika.
Kanika, unmute yourself.
Hello, sir. I'm Kanika Soni from BSc second year, and I feel really honored to be a part of this webinar. So I would like to ask a question. What are the three methods? What are the three methods of career change you would consider to grow and develop our career?
Three methods for career change. It's a very specific question you have asked, Kanika, but a good one for sure. And I assume when you're talking about career change, you're asking about a move in the roles, right? Something that you're working on, but something else that you aspire to be. And once again, I covered this in the previous topics, but I'll be specific about it now. Three methods would be A, deliver quality in what you're doing right now, because that is going to establish yourself, right? That is going to establish you in the role that you are. And that is how people know how good you are, right? So I'll give you an example. When I was doing FX, I did not know anything about FX, right? I learned it on my own. And then an opportunity arrived for commodities. And when I went for an interview, the commodities guy asked me, you have never worked in commodities, so how are you gonna deal with the stuff here? So my answer to him was that I never knew anything about FX, and I have excelled there, right? You can see my deliveries, and it was within the same bank. And that kind of made sense to him. When I was new to FX, even as an interviewer, right? When someone comes to me for an interview, I don't see how well they can do my role. What I see is how well they have done in the role that they are, right? How well have they delivered in the area of their comfort, right? If they haven't delivered well in their own area of comfort, forget about them delivering in a role that is completely new to them. So first method would be good at what you do. As I said, no job is small or big. It starts from the first job. Deliver your best. That will kind of make a mark on the others around you. Second method would be to collaborate and network. It's very, very important. And And once again, I'll give you an example. If you're able to collaborate well with the people in other lines of businesses, for example, if you're working for equities, right, and you want to move to commodities, that's where you aspire to go to, you need to identify who are the people who run commodities, right? Who are the management guys, who are the people working in those teams, and then you get to, what you should do is you should work towards networking with them, talking more to them, trying to understand what they do. And let me tell you, in the corporate world, just one hello makes a difference. Okay, one hello, one good morning. People should know you by face. They just know you that this guy is called Gaurav Gupta. They don't know anything about me. But if they know me as Gaurav Gupta, that's going to make a difference at some point in time. And I can give you a live example. When I was working in an organization that I'm not going to name now, me and my friend, accidentally, whenever we used to visit washroom, there used to be this very senior guy at a director level who used to visit the washroom with us, and it was an accident, right? We would always clash in the washroom, and after 3 or 4 such accidents, it kind of became a laughing matter. And one day I told him that our timing is such that we always visit in the washroom. It was a matter of laugh. We laughed it off, but then we shook hands and we exchanged our names. And now this director knew me and my friend, right? And he knew nothing about us. He doesn't know what we do, how good we are at our work. He doesn't know anything about it. But he just know that this guy is Gaurav Gupta and this guy is so and so, right? And after 1 month, there comes a time when my friend was a part of promotion process, and he was amongst 4 or 5 bright candidates that were due for promotion. And this director turns out to be the part of the panel who is going to make a decision, right? And it turns out this director does not know any of the guys on the on the cards for promotion, right? He's just a decision maker. The deliveries of these people are going to be presented to him, and then he will decide if this guy is deserving enough to get promoted or not. And everyone, of course, is the best, the brightest. That when your name goes into the room, you're the brightest for sure. But that one hello, that one knowing of the name helped this guy, because the panelists knew him by name. All the other 4 were unknown to him. They were equally good, so there's no bias here in terms of how good you are at your work. Of course, if your name is on the table, you're good. But because this guy knew his name, he kind of voted in his favor, right? So that worked in his favor, and he got promoted. So it's a very small example to give. As I said, one hello makes a difference. So collaboration, networking skills are going to take you very, very far in your career. And I can tell you, in 13 years of my career after Infosys, of all the jobs that I have switched, none of them were through the job sites or through recruiters. All of the jobs that I have landed up in are because of my network. Some of my bosses have left, this organization, they go to that organization, and because they've seen my work, they say, Gaurav, you want to come with us? And I see if the opportunity is good enough for me, I just say yes to them, I move on. Right? I've never got a job through a job website or any recruiter. So networking comes in handy, very handy. And the third and last method, I would say, in order to change your career, that networking alone cannot help you, right? If you don't continuously upgrade yourself, if you don't stay relevant, no matter how big a guy knows you, even if it is a managing director or the CEO, at the end of the day, they are hiring you because of your worth, because of your potential, right? So they need to ensure that you have the relevant skill set for you to work for them. So it's in their selfish interest when they hire you, right? They're not doing social or charity work by hiring you. They know you're good. They know you're going to deliver. So you need to constantly upgrade your skill set and use all the resources that you get in the organization you work for to kind of be where you want to be in your career. I hope that answers the question.
So, Gaurav, we have two very senior people from the university. Our Honorable President, Dr. Rajesh Kothari sir, due to some technical fault, starting में हम लोग connect नहीं कर पाए थे. So now I request President sir. Sir, am I audible? Sir, am I audible
too? Yes, you are audible and you are visible both. Hello.
Sir, over to you, sir.
हाँ, अरुण जी आवाज आ रही है आपको?
We can hear you very
well. You are audible, sir. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, welcome, Gaurav. We are supposed to meet today only at the end of the session. And what I've listened to you, and I think you have been very, very purposeful while delivering your talk to the students and to the audience one. I believe that this is a very, very competitive market, whether you're at Singapore or at Vietnam or at India, right? Because today we don't talk of India as a market, we talk of Singapore as a market, we talk globe as a market.
True.
Right? So we all have become global citizen one. Now, my experience says with changing time, the competition is now reality. And only word that I've learned in my life is either perform or perish.
True.
No matter how well you're connected, no matter how well you are on your social media, on your LinkedIn profile, and this profile, that profile, they simply get you a passport. Now, to enter the other country, you don't need only passport but also visa. So, what is visa? Visa is your performance over the years. You should be known. The industry recognizes.
True, sir.
After all, we are always in search of new leaders. We are always in search of new managers who can meet the technology changes. I learned my computer on it was, I think, 486, something like this, 486, 586, and today I think it has become part of a museum where it may be stored one. Now, you rightly said you have to stay relevant. Not only you as a young, but we as older people, senior citizens have also be relevant one. Sometimes we come across this kind of complaints that our children are not able to help us. See, I want to type some email, for example, but I'm not so updated as my children are. Now they won't share their knowledge. They will do the work. Now, if I want to stay relevant, I must be one up to them. So the message is A, perform or perish. Number two, adopt, embrace, and implement technology. Technology is your friend. We don't have to maintain distance. We are talking a lot about distancing, social distancing, but I think about technology, no distance at all. You have to embrace technology. And third, read the writing on the wall. Eventually, all companies, whether it's JPMorgan or whether it is BCG or whether it is any consulting, Arthur Anderson, no more, all they simply talk about one thing, and that one thing is read customer, deliver customer delight, stay in competition. Because customer is the king. He drives the market, not you and not me. Technology, we're very competent. We've got good human manpower, but we are unable to understand what customer wants. And as long as, so all companies are moving towards closer to what we can say, acquiring, retaining, and managing customer, because they are the one who are going to keep us in business only. Gaurav, thank you very much. This is your alma mater. Do take some time. Do visit this campus. Do support. After all, this is what a small thing we expect from you. Thank you for being with us, and thank you from my side. I wish I could have been part of this your interesting talk, but for technical snack developed here and there only. We love technology, we embrace technology, but what if technology is not coming to our way? Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. And
Thank you, sir.
I agree
Now
with you
we have
100% on what you said. And
Gaurav. We have Gaurav.
yes, sir.
Yeah, Gaurav. We have our senior advisor is a very senior academician, Dr. S.S. Jain sir. I request Dr. S.S. Jain sir to kindly say a few words.
Sure.
Hello, Gaurav. Initially, I also welcomed you, but finally, I am thankful to you for delivering such a nice talk. And you rightly said that only the skill sets are relevant, not the individual is relevant. If you know all the skill sets and you know the what you are doing in the field of the business, then you can stay in the business. Otherwise, you cannot. Whomsoever you know or whatever your connections are, but only the skill sets will make you survive in the connection. Secondly, I want to tell you, you have also rightly said that the qualification are essential for entering into the job, but to continue into the job is to improve the skill sets only, not the earlier qualification that you have achieved. Once you achieve the qualification and you can continue with the same qualification is not possible in the market. So you have to upgrade your skills if you want to remain in the field of the that is competitive field where you are. And if you want to progress, there is no question whether you are qualified as a engineer, or you are qualified as a MBA, or you are qualified as a BSc graduate. It is only the knowledge and the skill set which can be proved. The people who are hiring you can groom you accordingly they want, but the basic knowledge should be there so that they can groom you accordingly. Best of luck to all my students, and thank you very much, Gaurav, to be with us. And we are proud to have such alumni in the ICFAI system. Thank you very much.
Pleasure is mine, sir.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you very much. And really, we are proud of you as an institute and as a teacher. Thank you very much for spending your valuable time with our students, for our faculty members. Thank you very much. We are signing
No
off.
worries, sir. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe. Bye-bye.